friends. My name is Teniya and I'm on the Fabled Court team. This is another weekly spread plan with me. I am trying my best to get better at these things, so I have laid out all of my tools that I'll be using today. Of course, I'm using the Law of Nature kit from Fabled Court. We'll get a better peek at that in just a moment. I also have my untrusty Bic whiteout pen. I feel like I'm always complaining about it, but it's almost finished. My partner came home last night and handed me a fresh pack of the new Bic whiteout pens with the new cartridge style, and I'm so excited to crack them open. Of course, I'm also going to be using all of these beautiful character and doodle stickers from Fabled Court. I am quickly running out of my favorite ones, so I just placed a massive order to restock them. I'm using these date dots from Cricut Paper Co. And I also have this washi from Cricut Paper Co. This is black with gold confetti foil on it, which is really lovely. I think it'll work great with this. I also have these two generic washi rolls. One is navy blue with gold stars. The other is black with crescent moons. I don't know exactly how much of that I'm going to be using today, but I am trying to use more washi in my spreads. So this is the Law of Nature kit from Fabled Court. It is inspired by the Demon Slayer Season 1, and these colors, when I tell you, I am so obsessed with these colors. I feel like I always see so many kits that have bright pinks, neon greens, and like these really big boastful colors, for lack of a better term. And I love that this kit embraces the richer, darker elements. The art on here is so detailed with the shading. I feel like Lucas really knocked this one out of the park. I love every kit he does, but I feel like the more of these Fabled Court releases we do, the more confidence he's been getting with his art, which I love to see. You know, with him being my brother, I've spent my entire life seeing his style grow and seeing his art expand, but to see it in this kind of physical format and see him embracing all of these details and really just putting so much care into it, and then of course seeing people love it, just brings a smile to my face. I've been so incredibly proud of the work that he's put in, because I know it's a lot of long nights and it's not always easy. So the Fabled Court Law of Nature kit does have 4 full pages for the full kit, and then I also have the label add-on. I don't know how much of the add-on I'm going to be using. I usually try to map out what exactly I'm going to need in terms of boxes, headers, and labels, but I'm kind of winging it this week, just a little. If you're new here, I do recycle my pages from an old unused planner. I try to white out all of the incorrect dates. I accidentally put whiteout on that page when I did my last week's spread, so I only have 1 page to white out this week. And you'll always, I feel like every week, you guys are forced to watch me struggle with this really old Bic whiteout pen. I just struggle with it. I don't know if it's a me thing or if it's the pen quality. This is quite old. It is the old style that they released maybe 6 years ago, and I can't wait to be done with it. I am hoping I can finish it next week, but we will have to wait and see. I almost got so excited I just started putting my date covers down. Luckily, I remembered at the last second to lay down my washi first. If you're new to my plan with me's, I have this big old bag of Cricut Paper Co. washi. I got it at a sale. Cricut Paper Co. has some really great stuff. I feel like if you are a beginner or you're just trying to start experimenting with what your style is in terms of deco planning, I feel like Cricut Paper Co. has such a wide assortment of products. They have a little something that will fit anybody's style. And because they do have a lot of those extra items like the washi and foil, I feel like, at least for me personally, and as I was learning to deco plan and learning what my style was and what I wanted to do with it, I just felt like Cricut Paper Co. is such a great shop to start with. So I've decided like I mentioned earlier, to start using more washi in my spreads, especially to lay down under my date covers. So I'm just laying down some washi here. And last week I also did something kind of cool with my washi, where I was laying it across my edge of the side bar portion. I'm not exactly sure what that's called, to be honest. I'm sure my sister will watch this and message me later to let me know, because I am curious about it. I don't know the technical term for that side part, but I definitely liked what I did last week, where I lined all four sides with my washi and was able to put in my focus element and my habit trackers right there. It just made it look a lot more cohesive, and I just felt like it made the whole page look much more complete. When you use a big size planner like I do, there aren't a lot of items made for the big size happy planner. And the things that you do find typically fit a certain type of trend, which is fantastic. And I'm glad that people have that option. And I would never want them to not have that option. But for me personally, I feel like my style is so esoteric. I feel like sometimes I'm kind of lacking a market for the things that I would like to do or the things that I would like to see in my big happy planner. So working with classic sized items or EC sized items for my big happy planner sometimes poses special challenges, and I don't shy away from them. I'm totally okay with finding new ways to overcome those kinds of things and get a little bit closer to what I like. And part of that was trying out this little washi box on my sidebar. So far, I love the way it looks, and it does eliminate a little of that unused white space. I am always going to have some white space in my planner. I'm pretty okay with that, but knowing that I can do this also just kind of adds a little something extra, if that makes any sense. Alright, so laying down these full graphic boxes, I kind of had the sense after I put that one down that people might be frustrated that I'm not putting these down in the sequential order of which these scenes, these moments happen in the series. I kind of thought about that as an afterthought, to be honest with you. I was more so focused on how the colors and how the images would blend and which ones would take my notice more frequently as I glance at this spread throughout the week, and that was kind of how I decided of what to put where. And of course, I always kind of follow a general pattern as to what boxes are going to get the graphics. So you'll typically see the same exact boxes get the tall graphics in my plan with me's. That's just kind of how I've become comfortable with it. And then we're getting these date dots down. I love these date covers. The colors, I don't know exactly how it works in color theory, but the way that these all just, Lucas and Autumn found a way to bring all of this together and make all of these colors work together as a set, and it has been so beautiful to see come together. Especially taking a chance on these white and black boxes. I have not personally seen a kit that had white and black boxes. It's usually some kind of pearlescent color or an off-white gray type of color. So seeing a full kit that has these stark white, these deep blacks was so exciting for me. I'm laying down, I'm starting to experiment more with layering. So I am laying down the start of my chores lists. I gotta be honest with you guys, at the sake of sounding really silly, or maybe even being judged, I'm starting to feel so burnt out with my house chores. I'm sure that I am not the only person who has ever felt that way, but I definitely feel that way. Real quickly, I am reusing some Cricut Paper Co. checklists. These boxes have hearts on them, and I was just making a note to myself while I was filming this that I am thinking of covering the hearts because, of course, Fabled Court checklists have 4 slots and Cricut paper cones have 6, sometimes 5. So I was just telling myself that I might cover that hard later. But back to the topic at hand, I think it is kind of important to talk a little bit about how I'm feeling in regards to housework. Aside from the work that I do with Fabled Court, I don't work outside of my home. I'm not a very or extremely busy person even. I pretty much like to stay home, spend time with my family, and when my boys are at work or at school, I really just stay home and hang out. I don't know a lot of people where I live in Japan, and it's not for a lack of trying, it's really just lack of interest, I guess. I really don't feel a calling or a deep necessity to go out and meet people, and I feel like that is totally okay. If you're more introverted like me, I feel like that's okay. But where it starts to kind of frustrate me a little bit is that I am home all the time, I am doing my chores every day, and I just feel tired in a weird way. I honestly can only describe it as not a physical feeling of being tired, but a mental feeling of being tired, feeling emotionally tired. I feel like sometimes we get a little lost in the sauce of our daily life and we forget that we are human beings who deserve a little grace sometimes, who deserve a break, even if it's something that people will deem as simple as house chores. So this week, starting this week, I'm going to be trying to do a little bit less, for lack of a better phrase. I know it's so shocking. Some people I already know are gonna gasp. What do you mean you're going to do less chores? Wouldn't that just make you fall behind, you say? And you know what? Maybe I will fall behind a little bit. But I feel like I'm prepared for the consequence of doing less. I'm very lucky and very blessed to live a lifestyle where if I need some extra help, I can hire it. I can afford to have someone come in, every other week or every month and just kind of help me do the deep cleaning stuff, so that all that I really need to do is wipe things down. And I feel like that's something where I feel like I'm getting to the point where that is very attractive to me, just because mental and emotional exhaustion, at least in my own personal experience, is so much greater and so much more taxing than physical exhaustion. And I'm so sorry if I sound hyper privileged and really myopic right now. That is definitely not my intention, and I do apologize if that upsets you. Feel free to let me know. I just personally feel like it's important to mention that even if you aren't someone who stereotypically or typically are super busy, or even if you don't work 3 jobs, 2 jobs, even if you don't work 1 job, it is totally okay to just get tired sometimes and just give yourself a break. Like I said, give yourself some grace. Drew says all the time, treat people with kindness. I totally believe in that. And I think it's important to remind people, you should be treating yourself with kindness too. When you say treat people with kindness, you count as people. So don't hesitate to give yourself the same kind of grace and, lack of judgment that you would give someone else. If you feel tired, if you feel physically tired, mentally tired, emotionally tired, switch it up. If you have the ability to do that, don't hesitate. It can be a little anxiety inducing. I know that for me, I have been thinking about hiring a housekeeper for a really long time. I've been financially able to for a really long time, but I just personally had so much anxiety about the idea of inviting a stranger into my safe space and letting them judge me because I have enough, or I should have enough within me. I'm expected to have enough within me to do it by myself. But I've luckily found someone who is not only really great at what she does, but she has been so incredibly kind to me and non-judgmental, and has just really made me feel comfortable at asking for this kind of support. And I'm lucky to have friends who remind me also all the time, you are allowed to ask for and receive help when you need it or when you want it. So you don't have to be in a really terrible place by anybody's standards to just ask for help, give yourself a break, and, splurge a little bit on what you need or want to make you feel safer, make you feel more secure, and give yourself a break. I feel like I've been repeating the same 5 or 10 words so much, so I am so sorry if this has been annoying, a frustrating topic of conversation, but I'm glad that I said it. If you feel the same way, or if you've ever felt the same way, leave a comment, let me know. Feel free to message me on Instagram. I'm really interested to find out if this is like a rare occurrence and only a few people experience it, or if everyone experiences this at some point. I'm not entirely sure, because like I said, I'm not incredibly sociable. Most of my friends are online friends, and even that selection is a bit small. I'm not a very boisterous, outgoing person. I feel like I can be sociable, of course, but for the most part, I really do feel like I don't need to be surrounded by a lot of people to be happy. I definitely do better with a small group of friends who I really vibe with and get along with really well. And I'm lucky to have that kind of ordeal. I know a few people who feel like they haven't found that yet, and that's okay. As you get older, it definitely gets more difficult to make friends. And I feel like too, if you're anything like me, I'm on spectrum, and it's a little bit difficult for me to fully understand certain social cues or certain social expectations, and that's okay too. I mean, it has to be okay. Like I said, treat people with kindness, and that means you are people. We will get through anything and everything by just giving some leeway here. Not everything has to be perfect. Not everything has to be black and white. I mean, that's something that we say too on the Fabled Court team is, sometimes running a shop, creating something physical, coming up with these concepts, it can be a little anxiety inducing because you're not always entirely sure of how people are going to respond, whether people are going to like it or not. And it's especially true because we're human. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we make errors, sometimes we make typos, sometimes we make printing errors and waste paper or ink, and some of this stuff is really expensive. And when you have a team like we do, it's not just one person that's affected, you're affecting multiple people, and it can really shake you up a little bit. So we always try to support each other and just remind each other it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. It's just in general, it's okay. I remember being in college and in my English composition class, I turned in maybe 2 papers the whole semester. And then my professor, I fell really behind, and my professor said, when you turn in your finals, feel free to turn in overdue work, and I'm going to grade them as if you'd turned them in right on the deadline. And I remember just talking to her about it after class and just saying, I really appreciate that. I have ADHD. I am so forgetful, and I procrastinate terribly. So those kinds of long form assignments can be really difficult for me to complete and turn in. But you know what she said to me? She looked me right in my eyes and she said, you know what? Sometimes in life, we just need to hear someone say that it's okay. And honestly, that has stuck with me for my entire life. That was almost 10 years ago now, if you can believe it. And I still think about that a lot, especially when my friends come to me and they're feeling anxious, or they're feeling like, maybe they're not doing as much as they should. Maybe they're not being as great as they should. But you know what? It's okay. that is my spiel of the week, if you will. I'm not entirely for certain how I got onto this soapbox of mine, but I hope that this was a good conversation, or maybe gives a little something to think about. And I genuinely hope that if there's anything that you've been wanting to do for yourself lately, that you just take the leap and do it. So I've got my entire spread together. I'm going back over and filling it in with some felt tip markers. I have to say that my favorite part about the weekly spread is getting to write everything in. Of course, I love the whole stickers. I love mapping things out on my paper, and I love seeing how it can come together with all the little tiny bits and pieces. But there's something about writing down what things actually are in my week that just concretes them and solidifies them into my brain, and it gives me a feeling of safety, or for lack of a better phrase, some kind of security, that I do have control, that I do know what is going on this week, and that I have this reference to check up with throughout the week, so that I don't have to just rely on my brain, which, as I mentioned earlier, can get really scattered sometimes. This to me is just like, it's really comforting. So I love, love, love when I get my spread together, I lay it all out, and then I can just write everything down into these boxes, especially with the checklist pieces. I usually save things like chores and office day tasks for last, because I just get really thrilled about those little checklist pieces. I like lining things up in that way. Maybe that's strange, but maybe not. Maybe you can relate to that. I try to use as many different colors in every single spread as possible in terms of writing utensils, because I feel like it just helps things pop and keeps things differentiated. If I used black on every single box, or if I used red on every single box, I feel like I would get kind of lost in the sauce. So there it is, all the colors. Isn't it so cool? Thanks for joining. See you next week.